Yo, what's up everybody, King GPL here, and welcome back to a brand new Great League video. Today, I'm going to be showcasing a very strong team, which went insanely positive for me today. This team right here is currently the rank 1 team in Pvpoke. For those of you not aware of this, Pvpoke updates their rankings every so often, showcasing a list of teams that have performed best into the meta. I tried the rank 1 team that was performing best in Pvpoke, and man, I gotta say, this team absolutely cooked. In my first set, I immediately went 5-0. I overcame a lot of bad leads, things like Malamar, which typically is a positive matchup for the opponent. I was able to overcome these types of leads, like Mudslap leads, Malamar, even some straight up water type Pokemon in the lead. I don't think there's a single Pokemon that can pretty much one-shot the Clodsire, so that's the benefit of this Pokemon. You're running double nukes. If you have a negative matchup, you can just stay in. For example, if it's Dewgong lead, you can stay in. And you would think that, with Dewgong in the lead, your Jumpluff should be basically free in the back. I highly underestimated Jumpluff and I highly underestimated Gastrodon. I was not expecting this team to perform well at all. We went 19-6, got a 5-0 immediately. So what we're going to do is have a look at these battles, showcase a lot of bad leads as well, and hopefully you can learn from this video, perfect this team for yourself, and get a high starting elo. If you do enjoy today's video, very quickly, hit pause on the video, subscribe to the channel, it is absolutely free. Do that now, I really appreciate that. Big thank you for all the support in the recent videos. And of course, drop a like for the algorithm. Of course, we're talking about the YouTube algorithm. And without any further ado, let's hop on into the battles here. So, as you can see, we've got Jumpluff on Tentacruel. Not exactly an ideal situation. The opponent shields that move, which is fantastic. And we can now look to full send the acrobatics. Energy Ball here, 7-6. I believe if you go for Energy Ball first, the acrobatics will be 6 afterwards. So we're going to full send the acrobatics here. This will do an absolute ton of damage. On Pvpoke, it recommends going for Aurelius. This just so happens to be the Jumpluff I've got built, so I decided to use it after a lot of deliberation. I didn't want to spend 200k on a new Pokemon. And honestly, acrobatics just works super well for this team. Now, we're in a really tough position. The opponent's got Energy and Malamar. They've got a Scald here, but they go for Acid Spray. This is perfect. They come in with Malamar. They fire off the superpower. This one Mudslap is going to knock it out. And because the opponent did not full send the move, we're actually going to take this battle here. That was a massive misplay by the opponent. Had they went for Scald, recognizing that they win CMP, they can get to a move on Malamar, and it's my win condition to let that go. They definitely would have won that match. Good games for the first one. We get a fantastic lead in the second one with Fortress here. In comes Malamar, I come straight into the Jumpluff here. So this match can get relatively close. We do have super effective fast moves. Despite Fairy Wind's buff, it's not going to farm this down too quickly. I decide to overfarm here. Unfortunately, a little bit off track with energy. I do end up CMPing the opponent. I recognize I can live this move. I can make it to 2 moves here, no problem. I'm going to go for the hard-hitting acrobatics. Jumpluff is so bulky that I don't believe I'm going to get farmed down here. We commit to the farm down. The opponent makes it to a last second move. Now, I've got 2 answers to Fortress in the lead, so what I decide to do here is swap out immediately into my Mudslapper. I can store this energy. I think they're probably double weak to this in the back, and they do bring in a Gastrodon. GG's well played. The opponent recognizes I'm up energy. I have energy on the Jumpluff as well, so I just get shields down and basically put it into a farm down range. In comes Weezing in the lead. I'm expecting the opponent to chip and dip. The opponent does so. I'm going for an overheat. With this in the lead, I almost never shield. The fantastic thing about Clodsire is it can take any charge move in the entire meta basically. You can get to 1 or 2 moves on basically anything, so you don't really have to shield. And if you have something in the lead that is very negative for your back Pokemon, you can just stay in and play it out. There's almost no bad matchups in this meta for Clodsire. Even if it's a grass type, an ice type, you have the Poison Sting, you have the Stone Edge, and if you can get those troublesome Pokemon out of the way, you basically free up your Gastrodon and Jumpluff to sweep. Anyway guys, we go for the big acrobatics on the Weezing, and once again guys, I've got 2 answers right, so I swap out, I catch the move. I'm thinking that they probably are sort of weak to this in the back. The opponent brings in for Alligator, right? So it makes sense. They have a good answer to Jumpluff in the lead potentially. They have a Pokemon that's weak in the back. I have 2 answers to it in Gastrodon and Clodsire. So instead of staying in to let the opponent, get rid of my Jumpluff, I decide I might as well swap, keep that energy, and just make it very tricky for the opponent. Now, the opponent lets the Body Slam go, thinking it's their win con, which is fair enough. It's a very tricky position for the opponent. The opponent's saving 2 shields for next season, as Jimmy Finn would say, and we're going to hop on to the next one here. Toxapex, fantastic lead for Clodsire. They can go for neutral or super effective brines. I would almost call them neutral because they do no damage whatsoever. I'm fairly certain the Toxapex win CMP, and I am somewhat anticipating a catch. I'm not going to be an insta-throwing Andy, I'm going to be a pausing Peter here. I'm going to pause a turn, make sure that the opponent's fast move is coming through before I throw my move, and once again we're over-farming, right? If the opponent has a flyer like a Mandibuzz or something in the back, could be Poison Double Dark, that's kind of what I was thinking. That would be a great catch. I pause the turn, the opponent comes into low kicks. We're just going to start unleashing Stone Edges on this thing. We can get both shields off the opponent potentially here. The opponent probably does live a move, so they can let one go, but it does substantial damage here. Now at this point, I've got bulky Jumpluff for this ride. Toxapex destroys it. I am not misaligned here. The opponent actually doesn't get off a move, so if the opponent comes into Toxapex, I can swap right out. So if you stay in, sometimes you have to commit to staying in, because if you don't, the opponent can misalign the clocks and basically trap you into a negative matchup. So this way we're not sacrificing the Jumpluff into this, necessarily, and we've actually misaligned the clocks in our favour a little bit here. The opponent's building up a ton of energy. At this stage I'm like, okay, if they Brave Bird here, we can basically Fairy Wind it the whole way down. The opponent overfarmed an absolute ton. I think we're getting close to Ancient Power range, so this is pretty much okay at this point. We come into the Jumpluff here, the opponent gets off a last second move. I've got 2 shields, they've got 1, and we're just farming up a ton of energy. The Toxapex doesn't have a ton of energy on its side, and I think the opponent recognises, yeah, it's pretty much curtains here. In the next one, Dewgong lead, what looks like a very negative lead. However, look at my backline, right? Jumpluff wants absolutely nothing to do with this thing. The funny thing about Dewgong is, it's a very bulky Pokemon, however people just absolutely love shielding the first move, right? That would have done probably like 50% to them. I can understand why they would want to shield it, but from my perspective, I'm like, yeah, this is great. I'll take your Icy Wind, no problem whatsoever. I'll 1 and for the Stone Edge again. I don't have to shield your moves, but if you want to shield mine, that's perfectly fine, dude. The great thing about the Clodsire is, it's so bulky that we can just survive long enough to threaten another Stone Edge. I could shield here, but I recognise, like, up a shield, Jumpluff should be able to cook here. Even if they have grass types in the back, we've got the hardest answer to Jumpluff out of the way, meaning we can look to go for a big sweep here. I'm committing to a massive Mud Slap down, even if it means taking another move. This is kind of annoying, but we have so much energy here. We're most likely swapping out no matter what anyway. The opponent comes into a ground type and then they come into a Lantern. That's GG's well played. The opponent immediately concedes the match. And as you can see, like, staying in that negative lead really benefited us because we got the energy lead. We basically set up Jumpluff for the hardest answers out of the way, and up a shield with the bulk we have and the Pokemon we have and the energy and everything. The opponent's just basically lost that one. So, interestingly here, we get a very negative lead. We come into the Slap Boy. It's a little bit of slap on slap action here. They go for a Boner here. I'm going to overfarm and they come into a Ninetales. Very interesting by the opponent here. We have a ton of energy, so we can false in the Earth Power, doing heavy damage to the Ninetales. And guys, by the time we get this move off, I recognise that, hey, these Mud Slaps are probably adding up a little bit more. Can I just Mud Slap this down? The opponent throws a move. I think, yeah, I can definitely live 2 Partis Snows here. I'm going to go for another Mud Slap. We do end up taking it out, that's perfect. We live in 1 HP, and back in comes the Marowak. Shadow Marowak is very decent. It can actually take an energy ball from full health. And Rock Slides do add up. 2 Rock Slides roughly knocks out a Jumpluff. So what looks like an RPS matchup is not super horrible. Now what I decide here is, I've got so much energy, I can basically force shields off the opponent, right? I could bring in my Clodsire, but again I'm going to misalign my switch clock. I can just stay in here completely, go for energy balls, and if I get the opponent's final shield, at that point I can then look to swap. Because we've got so much energy here, we can bank a move for the Marowak pretty much. I get the final shield here, right? I just come into Clodsire at this point. The opponent actually does go for a Surf here, which is really interesting. We come into Clodsire, and because we've got the opponent down to like 50% on the Marowak, we can just come in and go straight for an Earthquake. They can go for a Bone Club here. It's not going to be anywhere close to knocking out. I decided I'd rather just stay in that matchup, use the energy, and basically use Clodsire to outbulk and just win the match at the end. Good games all played there. Sparkle Lantern, definitely a very tricky Pokemon to run in this meta. And in the next match here, we have a little bit of Claw on Claw action. My Clodsire is a rank 2. I'm not expecting to win CMP, so I go for the extra here. They go for an Earthquake, obviously. You'd be kind of crazy to beat a Clodsire, honestly. We're going to build up to 100 energy. This is a mistake, by the way, because that means they actually outpace me to the move. So don't build up to 100 energy with Poison Sting and Clodsire, because as you can see, they're reaching the move 1 before me, so I'm like, bruh, I'm just going to let this go, whatever. They Stone Edge me, and then they go for a catch an Azu. I'm pretty happy with my position here. We can go for moves on Azu. I decided to swap into the Jumpluff. Azu takes 2 moves no matter what. Maybe I should have kept that energy, because I think 2 energy balls probably just about does it. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to still have to throw 2 energy balls, so I guess that's something you can learn. Unless you're using Shadow Jumpluff, that 1 energy ball would be fine, but I still have to throw a second one. This kind of sucks. I get the defense drop, so I decide I'm going to go for the massive farm down here. The opponent comes into Clodsire. I decide to land this move right here, and we're going to bring in our Slap Boy. I'm very happy with this. This is giving me just the perfect alignment this match. I'm also somewhat expecting there to be some sort of an answer to ground in the back, right? They have an Azu. This could be one of those teams where it's like double water, right? Clodsire's in the lead to basically deal with grass types and electrics, and then they have 2 things that are weak to that in the back, like a Feraligatr. I was half expecting a Gator. They actually come in with a Farforn. They go for the catch. I'm very patient there. Go for the extra moves. Guys, sometimes like you don't throw straight away. If you're able to go for an extra, go for an extra. The opponent shields that move. I come into this accidentally catching a Mirror Shot, and that is absolute curtains for the opponent. They recognize it's game over. What I've decided to do this season is call a lot more baits. I think my biggest weakness as a player is just shielding stuff because I think it'll do damage. I think that's a kind of bad mindset, honestly, because People just bait stupid stuff these days. I think that bait from the opponent wasn't a horrible bait. I think that's a reasonable bait. But I just decided, like, you know what, I'm just not shielding this. It could be a bait, right? It makes sense, the way that you win that matchup as a Clodsire in the mirror. We've had so many matchups like that in Go Battle League history. For example, Stunfisk versus Stunfisk, it was always go for the rocks, I'd go for the EQ. Oftentimes, those matches are decided by who can call a move or who can win CMP. Anyway, in here we have Fairforn. This is very fine for Clodsire. The opponent will build up a lot of energy. I cannot afford to swap out here, I have to stay in. We're ABA weak to this Pokemon with Gastrodon. Grass is not super common in the meta, so if we can get our flying type on this grass type, our Gastrodon should be pretty primed to sweep here, I think. This will be a Thunder, it doesn't do too much damage. Even if it was Flash Cannon, it wouldn't be too worrying here. We can just overfarm a lot. We have Acrobatics, which once again in this situation, puts them into a range where we can actually commit to a Fairy Wind down on the Steel type. Getting a Fairy Wind down on a Steel type with Jumpluff and having all that energy is just absolutely deadly for the opponent. They actually bring back in the Marowak, which is really interesting here. We're going to go straight for the Energy Ball. This will look to one-shot them pretty much. It doesn't quite, but it more or less one-shots them. I can shield this move no problem. I'm expecting a bait here. They do go for Bone Club, but in this situation it's like I know that I can just shield and outpace, right? So this is fine. Whenever it's a situation where you've mathematically worked it out and you're like, I just win this, you can shield, right? You know they're going to do the stupid baits or whatever. They do go for Bone Club once again, but I'm just like, yeah, this is fine. Like, you know, I win. You know, like what's the point calling it when you win, right? We go for this bang. They bring back in the Fairforn, and that's good games well played. In the next battle, I believe we have our first Azu lead. In this meta, it's very rare to see Hydro Pump. I've seen one opponent with Hydro Pump on the swap, which is really interesting. I'm not too sure if that's really beneficial, especially when you have a lot of Pokemon that are weak to Ice in the meta. Ice Beam, I think, is an absolute necessity. They bring in the Dunsparce right here. This is kind of awkward, honestly. This is kind of awkward. And this is fairly well into the Clodsire. I bring in the Slap Boy, trying to basically get a ton of energy. I think on the team, like, the whole team does fairly fine into Azu. Azu can do a lot of work into your team with Ice Beam on the Jumpluff and Clodsire. And generally 2 moves from Azu will knock out this. So Azu definitely is a tricky customer. I go for the overfarm here and try to CMP the opponent. The opponent does not fall for it, they let that move go. At the very least we can get off an Earth Power on the Azu, and that should put it into a range where Poison Stings can start dealing with it, and we can start maybe doing something against the Azu. Can we make it to a last second move? We even do make it to a last second Body Slam, and that's ideal because we might be able to put this in a farm down position. This is awkward, like I said. I think I will end up shielding the Clodsire in this situation. Oh, we actually let this move go. That's really interesting. I do survive it, and I can make it to a Stone Edge. They come into a Talonflame. Oh, that's worst case scenario. I think, ladies and gentlemen, it is absolute curtains for me. I think it is curtains for me. There's not a whole lot we can do here. We do have Acrobatics. I mean, that's great and everything, but look at the health of my Clodsire. I am playing this out somewhat because I want to see the damage on this. But yeah, like, it does a lot, bro. It really does a lot, but it's just not going to be enough, unfortunately. The opponent can just keep ramping up and ramping up. I decide here, like, can I do some sort of a catch or something? The opponent actually goes for a catch. I think they were one off the Ice Beam, so I did have to throw this move here. So yeah, this is just GG's, unfortunately. I do try to swap and catch a move, not that it actually makes a difference or anything, but yeah, good games, very RPS one. At this point, I started seeing a lot of Talonflames. I think I seen 2 or 3 in this set. Let me know if you guys ever notice that. You don't see a Pokemon all day, and suddenly in one set you see it 2, 3, 4 times. That was kind of the case with Talonflame here. Thankfully, we do catch it in the lead, exactly where we want to see it. I can live any move, they go for Flame Charge, and look, we can get both shields off the opponent if they let us here. They do go for a catch on my Jump, I bring in the Jumpluff. Of course, we're extremely weak to Talonflame, so I'm happy just to basically take the Stone Edge, more or less sacrifice the Jumpluff, and look to do as much damage as possible. Now, it would be ideal, I overfarm as much as I can here to try to get off an Acrobatics. It would be ideal if we could. Look at our low health, can we still make it to an Acrobatics? This would be absolutely huge. 1, 2, 3, 4, we actually do make it to an Acrobatics. We survived that Incinerate. Jumpluff is just so bulky, we do an absolute ton of damage to that thing. Now, I'm expecting a Blind Flame Charge. We bring in the Gastrodon. The Gastrodon is going to come in here, slap this bad boy down. The opponent is running a very interesting team with Malamar, which, by the way, on the Pvpoke rankings, this was the best performing Pokemon in general. I'm going to shield this move, and at this point, you know, we're just playing for fun. We're going to YOLO the Earth Power. We outpace the opponent no matter what, so that's absolute GG's. The opponent recognizes its curtains, this CMP at the top left, and as you can see in the set here, we do end up going 4-1, which is great. Again, we had a 5-0, 2 4-1s and 2 3-2s, not a single negative set. And in this one we get an Azu lead. I don't really think it's worth going for the Stone Edge in this situation. I think you do want to go for Earthquake. 2 Earthquakes should just about put it into Poison Sting down range. Now, like I said, I don't normally shield this match in the lead. However, I think I do end up shielding the second move here. I end up getting a lot of energy. In this match, you want to commit to good timing as much as possible. The opponent throws an alignment here, and whenever they throw an alignment, it always makes me want to shield, because that gives me that extra little advantage that I need. Since I've shielded in this matchup, I go for a very aggressive play here. I go for Stone Edge and commit to the Poison Sting down. Can we make this in time? We just about do make it in time. We come out with a shed load of energy, and in comes Typhlosion. Ah man, fires in the back are always awkward, but thankfully we have our Mud Slapper alive. That one move does knock us out. We go for the farm, and in comes Drifloon. This is not good. This thing is so heavily attack weighted. It's Shadow, and it's got super effective Icy Wind. I decide like I have to try and just take this move. We go for 1 and 4 on the Acrobatics, hoping this goes through and lands for heavy damage. It does go through. We're still in such an awkward position though. The opponent can basically look to Icy Wind the life out of me. They just insta-throw it, of course, why would they not? The Typhlosion has a lot of energy, and yeah, this is not looking great. This is a pretty hard counter backline. Typhlosion, Drifloon, these are pretty hard walls for my back Pokemon, so definitely not the greatest thing in the world. Just so you know, that was me who got that message, so you don't have to check your phone, right? You're fine. That was me. I know whenever I watch YouTube videos and people are commenting and they get Facebook messages and stuff like that, I always think it's me, so if you guys thought it was you, drop me a comment if you checked your phone for a message there. Typhlosion here, they go for Thunder Punch, and yeah, it's just GG's. Unfortunately, they just outpaced us there. In the next battle, we do have a great lead again. We have Toxapex. The opponent comes into this thing, and we come into our Jumpluff. Now guys, you would be surprised how much damage this thing can do to Jumpluff. This thing is actually really strong. 3 Shadow Punches plus Mud Slaps basically take this out, so like they can make this really close if they want to. And what surprised me here is the opponent did not just let it go. I thought they would just let it go. Like, we can definitely take 2. There's no way the opponent is going to flip this match. If I'm Shadow, 2 Shadow Punches get really close to knocking this thing out, so definitely in this situation, I'm feeling the benefits of having known Shadow. The opponent comes back into this, and they get the hardest answer in the world to it. Arguably, I should bring my Clodsire back in here, because, of course, this could be double Mud Slap, right? And I don't want my Clodsire on a Mud Slapper in the back, so that probably is somewhat of a misplay. I decide here, I'm going to just get an absolute ton of energy on this. I'm going to try to go for a Body Slam and farm down. We 1 and throw for good timing here, go for the Body Slam, and this should just about put it into slap range. Can we slap this the whole way down? Looks like 3 or 4 slaps is going to do it. We get all this energy, and they come into their own Gastrodon. I'm very satisfied with this at this range. Now in this case, what I end up doing is overcommitting to the Earth Power. Sometimes you have to recognize, like, I'm just not getting to that move. But I think we're still okay. I come in the mode for the Jumpluff, 1 and throw for good timing here. This will get the opponent's shield most likely. Oh, they let it go. Okay, well that's GG's then, because all we have to do, get off the next energy ball, come into the Clodsire, and yeah, we can just shield any move they want to throw. The opponent does not make it to a nuke and a bait, so we're basically fine. We can shield any move. They probably will go for Shadow Punch here. Unlikely to fault in the Earth Power. We go for the Earthquake, which I wonder from full health would it knock out. It would be very close, I would think. This thing is really strong with shields up, but it is very glassy. In the next battle, we're getting Malamar lead. When I see Malamar lead, I expect to see things like, similar to the team I showcased, right? Diggersby, Dunsparce. I'm expecting to see Ice types, Dewgongs, all that kind of stuff in the back. The opponent actually does go for a catch in Dewgong. I'm very happy with this, because all our Pokemon can do very well into it. I can get a shield off the opponent. Once again, the opponents love shielding Dewgong, right? That's just how these players like to play this Pokemon. But this one doesn't. They just let it go. So I'm like, right, okay. We've got the Dewgong out of the way. If it's double ice, we're cooked here. Like, that's just, it is what it is, right? Gastrodon does very fine into the Malamar as well. I'm going to look to basically chip this, try to get them into a range where I can commit to some sort of a Fairy Wind down, and even if it is another ice type, they're most likely weak to grass moves in the back. Or if it's something like a Diggersby, a Dunsparce, all this energy is good into it, but the opponent actually brings in a Golurk. He brings in a Golurk, and we're going to shield this move. I'm going to look to 1 and throw the energy ball here. This will, of course, absolutely one-shot. This is where you do miss having Ace, though, because you don't really need to land this move. You just need to land an Ace pretty much, and this thing will be chalked. Like, look at it, the Fairy Winds are adding up. I think if we landed an Ace on this, it would be just game over for them. We default in the next energy ball, and yeah, I can take a Shadow Punch, it's no problem whatsoever. I will outpace the opponent here, so this is perfectly fine. I'm expecting some sort of a catch. The opponent does make it to this move here. If the opponent swaps out, I'm going to bank this energy, swap into my Clodsire. I actually insta-swapped, anticipating it. Oh, sorry, my Gastrodon, I should say. We can take any move, farm it the whole way down, and I think after the opponent superpowers here and sees it doesn't knock out, I think they concede here at this stage. Oh no, we actually do get off the Earth Power on this. That's GG's well played. With Malamar lead, what they can actually do against the Clodsire is just stand and go for 2 moves. And win the zeros, right? But then you get a farm down, and most of the time they don't have flyers in the back. Gastrodon typically does pretty well into those teams. Now, we're both overfarming like crazy in this Dragonite matchup. I'm hoping to get a free Poison Sting. We farmed up to so much energy. You can always take a move off this, so this is perfectly fine. The opponent will be forced to dump both their moves. With Dragonite leads, I always like to try to get 2 shields off the opponent, right? That's kind of the advantages I'm going for. And because I'm super low here, I just decided like there's no point really swapping out at this stage. Yeah, they'll get a few extra Dragon Breaths, but no point misaligning the clocks, no point locking myself into a bad matchup. Could be a Dewgong in the back, right? I decided I'm going to take the first one, commit to the farm down, and hopefully just sweep with our ground type. With a dragon flying in the lead, they typically have Pokemon that are weak to Gastrodon in the back, so we farm it the whole way down. We'll see what the opponent comes into. They come into a Ferrothorn, so I'm super happy I took alignment here. This Dragonite Ferrothorn team seems to be actually a common core. I do 4 and 4 for good timing here. This Acrobatics will put it into Mud Slap down range, and I'm really anticipating like a Lantern or something. This is what we're used to seeing it with. I'm happy to let this go, this is perfectly fine by me. Yep, Thunder coming through, we can Mud Slap it down, and it's actually an Azu. This is a little bit awkward. Thankfully, because the opponent got the swap, they don't get an extra Bubble Sneak here, and this is going to be absolutely crucial, because as you're about to see, Azus need 2 moves to knock this out. As an Azu in the zeros, you go for double Ice Beam, and you should win this matchup, but because we're ahead by 1, we can actually get a CMP tie here, which is absolutely perfect. This Earth Power will be knocking out the Azu, and we can basically look to slap down the Grass type, which is pretty funny. GG's well played there. Guys, I highly recommend this team, it's super strong. I won 19 out of 25 battles, it's probably the most successful team I've had aside from yesterday's team. We'll showcase this one last battle here, but if you did enjoy today's video, please drop a like on it, it really helps out the channel, subscribe, and like I said, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Moltres here, they basically have to Brave Bird to take me out, so I'm like, you know what, Brave Bird me daddy. The opponent full sends the Ancient Power, okay. Right, we're gonna go for another Stone Edge here, this will look to threaten the knockout, bang! The opponent shields the move, so I'm like, right, you know what, you're gonna Brave Bird this time. Brave Bird me, big boy, you have to Brave Bird me. Okay, they go for another Ancient Power here. They get the boost on the first one, I think. So we do Stone Edge here, it doesn't knock them out, which is whatever at this stage. Now, because they have so much energy, they're boosted. I just respect even an Ancient Power at this stage. We have an energy lead, we have a shield advantage. Let's see what we can do with it. The opponent comes into their own Jumpluff, and this is the absolute benefit of having this moveset. Now, in this match, I'm like, okay, they could have Acrobatics, right? So I might as well shield the first one. They build up to back-to-back aces. I'm like, I'll have to shield one of these anyway, so I might as well shield up a potential Acrobatics. They do go for an ace right here, perfectly fine to take it, and I was even tempted to take another one. But at a certain point, I'm like, I'm just getting rid of this thing, bro. I am not letting this thing sit on my Gastrodon for a second whatsoever. This is not happening. Goodbye. They come in with Machamp, and I'm pretty sure you can see the writing on the wall. Well, the opponent doesn't. They go for the Rock Slide here, which is a cheaper move and can be very useful in situations like that, but we're going to hit this boy with the slap. Gastrodon is going to take care of him, and that's all she wrote. Like I said, everybody, thanks very much for watching. I do highly recommend trying out this team. Pretty much the strat with this team is, if you get a like neutral or negative lead, you stay in, you can take alignment if it comes to you, but shield advantage is very good for this backline, especially like I said, because the leads that are good against Clodsire are going to be good against your back Pokemon as well. So that basically means that the opponent's best answer for your Clodsire is in the lead, which tends to be one of their best answers for your back Pokemon. So the opponent is happy staying in these matchups with the Clodsire in the lead because they're getting rid of it, but you have a Mud Slapper, you have a Grass type in the back, so unless it's like a bunch of Talonflames or extremely RPS back Pokemon, you should have a very good chance to win the match. Once again guys, thank you very much for watching, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Drop a like, subscribe, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you all next time.